I will definitely forget. All right, now it's recording. All right. Can't wait for us to go somewhere else so I can stop hearing the Federation anthem. All right. This is the prologue. Stardate 78601.2, August 8th, 2401. Lasco Zed. You awaken, floating, feeling the sensation of weightlessness. You have a foggy memory and vision. You open your eyes. You look around, and all you see is black. You're really, really cold. And all of a sudden, as you're floating there, you hear oxygen depletion in 1 minute from a computer in your comm shield. What do you do?
Basically, he taps his comm badge to see if there's any Federation ships or...
It's a good idea.
Yeah, ships out there.
My question, though, is when he realizes he's floating in space, does he panic? Speaking of...
He tries to hold his panic in, but I think he starts realizing he's in a situation where he needs to get out. His survival instinct will kick in.
Yeah, that sounds like a roll to me. First roll of season 5. Let's get a composure check, because I know Lasco said he likes to play it cool. I want to see if he can play this off cool. So let's do. I didn't even tell you what the roll was yet, but that's good because that's what it was gonna be. I was either gonna let you roll presence or control, but that's good. Unfortunately, see, Mac, you are notorious for rolling before I tell you the difficulty. I was gonna say the difficulty's 3 because, like I said, you're floating in space with 1 bit of oxygen left, 1 minute of oxygen left. So yeah, you're gonna start to panic, unfortunately. So he hits his comm badge. What does he say as he panics?
Is there any Starfleet vessel in my vicinity? My oxygen's depleting. I need immediate transport now.
Oxygen depletion in 20 seconds. So you're putting out a message to Starfleet vessels, correct?
Yes.
You get no response, at least not yet. If they respond later, it might be too late. Now I need basically a Constitution/will check to see if you remain conscious as the oxygen is completely... Now remember, the comm shield projects a force field that is like millimeters, probably less than a millimeter away from you. So there's not a whole lot of oxygen in there. So as the oxygen is completely gone, you're basically suffocating. It's like you're in a plastic bag. So I need a control and command difficulty 3.
Can I give you one threat?
You sure can. Ooh.
Even with...
Ooh.
Well, you basically pass out, and your Cardassian face, just your Cardassian/Bajoran face, just turns purple or more purple, and you cannot breathe, and you pass out completely. However, as you're passing out, you do feel something tingly around you. And you wake up. You're not sure how long it's been, but you wake up, and the first thing you see, you feel metal. You're lying on your back. You feel metal. It's cold. It's hard. You're probably freezing from having just suffocated in space. and you see three Ferengi faces kind of look over you as you're lying on your back. Um, their expression is a mixture of anxiety, curiosity, and malice. And you overhear someone in the background ask if he has anything valuable on him. Um, how well do you recover? What's the first thing that you do or try to do?
If you steal anything on my personal body, you're stealing from Starfleet. You'll be under arrest for it.
Let's see if you can get that out. Because, like I said, you're about to suffocate. You might not be able to even speak at the moment, and you don't know how long you've been lying there. So, let's combine it. Instead of having you roll another Constitution check and then a diplomacy check, let's just combine it into another Presence and Command difficulty 3.
I'm gonna give you a threat.
All right. How much threat?
I'll give you 2.
Alright, so I got that many threat. Whoa! Alright, so you get 2 momentum for the group. Speaking of which, who wants to take care of momentum?
I'll do it.
Nostra, thank you. So you guys have 2 momentum. And basically, you are almost fully recovered, and you are when you say that to the Ferengi, they back up immediately. And you see one individual. You faintly hear a cargo bay door open, and you see a female Ferengi in a Starfleet blue uniform enter, and she looks at you and she says, "Are you okay?"
I just been out in space. What do you think I've been feeling?
I'm sorry, I just came from the crew quarters. I'll have the bridge take you. Where did you come from? Did you come from a ship?
He looks around and says, "Where's the USS Enterprise E?"
The Enterprise E? She asks.
Yeah.
I mean, probably out on maneuvers. Why?
That's the ship I was serving on, as XO.
I see. Well, and for the record, it's D, not E.
D, he says.
Okay. She says, "Oh, the Enterprise D. That thing's been destroyed for a couple decades now."
No, I was just on it.
I mean, if you were on it, you were on the museum, at the museum on Viridian 3.
No.
I tell you what, I'll contact the bridge. We'll get you taken to the nearest starbase. How's that?
Okay.
Now, you start to feel. So first of all, you notice that you haven't seen Trevor Zed, your father, in a while. You're looking around. You have not seen him since before you arrived here, since the event that brought you here happened, and you still don't see him anywhere. But you don't get the sense that he's gone completely. You think there's something hampering his presence, if that makes any sense. Now, this would be the part where I would go ahead and play the intro. However, I don't know if I want to get copyrighted again. Then again, I am recording it, so maybe it'll be worth it. You know what? I think I am going to restrain for now. I will just edit it later, hopefully, maybe. I don't know. So, moving on to Act 1. If you wouldn't mind, Mr. Edgeford, reading your captain's log.
Is this the communique that was sent over?
I don't know. It's on the it's in the handouts. I mean, I
Right, I
might
see.
have send you something else as well. I don't know. A lot of things get. I'm busy a lot,
No,
so
absolutely.
I might have sent it to you and also put it on Roll 20, and they might not be the same, but the one on Roll 20 is the updated one.
All right. Captain's log. Stardate 78615.3. I have been given command of the Sovereign-class starship USS Legion. However, the Vice Commander of the 4th Strategic and Diplomatic Fleet, Commodore Tetra, has summoned me to her office at the Fleet Operations Command Center in San Francisco, Earth. I can only imagine what sort of mission orders require an in-person meeting with the flag officer, third in command of the fleet. End
So
log.
you are on Earth at this point, and you are heading towards the Fleet Operations building. Um, tell me about Captain Osprey in general. Um, species. Is he the kind of person that as soon as he gets to Earth, he goes straight for the office, or is he the kind of person that kind of takes his time, enjoys the sights? Yeah, just tell me a little bit about it.
Captain Charles Osprey is the kind of person that if he weren't wearing a Starfleet uniform with a few rank badges on it, you would pass in the street and never notice. He is a human, male, Caucasian, roughly average height, roughly average build. He has a little bit of weathering to his features that suggests that he's lived a life, but nothing remarkable. And yes, as I said, were it not for his uniform, you probably would not remember him walking past you, which is sometimes a strength that has been very useful for him. I don't know to what degree you want me to go into his service history, but as for his actions on Earth, once he is summoned, he'll be very neatly turned out. He's aware that he's meeting with a very senior officer, and so his uniform will be freshly pressed. His hair will have been cut to the appropriate length, probably the day before. Everything is as trim as can be, not just because he's meeting somebody very senior, but he's taking command of the Legion. And this is important to him. He didn't expect this to happen in his career. He's also aware that he needs to make a good first impression. And as for his activities, he'll be going straight to the office, a safe amount of time early, so he's definitely not late. And outside that, if there's somebody that he knows from the old days at head office, and it wouldn't affect his calendar, he might pop his head in and say hi. But other than that, he will be getting to his command as quickly as he can to take over, supervise, make sure everything's good and trim and neat, and get on the job.
Does he know anybody at Fleet Operations Command?
So he might, from the days when he was working in the sort of security, internal affairs, not assigned to a specific ship, sort of assigned to the general staff. So some of and in special units that weren't aboard ships, he might know some people and have provided reports, or maybe some people he worked with have advanced in that track in command rather than aboard a ship.
Excuse me. All right, so you get to the Fleet Operations building, and you go inside. I say as I move player reference to the reception office, and just inside the Fleet Operations office, there is, or the Fleet Operations building, there is the reception area where basically people who are coming to meet, important flag officers come and wait, because that's the military motto: hurry up and wait. And the only two, now once you first enter the building, there are other rooms, there are other hallways and things you could go down, but assuming you get there with any urgency and with any decent amount of time, as long as you're not getting there super late, you would have time to kind of look around or go talk to somebody. as far as the reception area itself, once you see that, you will see that there are only 2 individuals there. One individual is someone who's sitting there. It looks like in one of the seats, waiting. He is a Crisari male in a red uniform with, and it looks like, just based on his demeanor, he's probably been waiting there for a little while. Then you see the receptionist is a Halian female in red. And she does not give you the time of day unless you specifically go up to her desk. She doesn't even look at you as you enter the reception area. But yeah, go ahead and explain how you approach the situation. I will say the door to Otreda's office is behind the reception desk, so it's not like you can sneak behind her or anything.
No. And also, Charles is not about to just walk uninvited into a Commodore's office. That seems like a way to create a poor impression. So he'll walk right up to the receptionist, not aggressively or anything like that, and announce that he has arrived, and just gently get her attention, and say, Captain Osprey, freshly with the USS Legion, has arrived for his appointment with the Commodore.
She glances up briefly, looks back down at her console and at the data pads and the laptop that she's got. It looks like she's a very busy person, and you can see that she has junior grade lieutenant ranks on her uniform. She also has on her desk her name, and it says Lieutenant parentheses JG, true sight. And she just glances up at you, glances back down at her console, and says, "Have a seat, sir. The Admiral will be with you momentarily." And just her general vibe that she gives off is that she has done this for a very long time, and your rank means nothing to her.
I mean it, and she's doing her job, and Captain Osprey would be used to this, and so he will simply say, "Thank you, Lieutenant," and go and take his seat. He'll spend a little while sitting patiently in silence. He's definitely not going to leave the reception room just in case he is called into a meeting and he's not there. Chatting to people would happen after the meeting, unless he's ordered about urgently. And so, what's the general demeanor of the other person who said it? You said that they're frustrated at their wait. Do they appear sort of bored, frustrated, angry, frustrated? Do they give a serious vibe of "leave me alone," or are they looking around as if they're searching for someone to talk to?
I would say none of those. He's frustrated in the way where he's not taking it out on anyone in particular. He's just tired of waiting, basically. So he doesn't look like he particularly cares to talk, but he doesn't look like he particularly is going to avoid it either. He's just sitting there, kind of rubbing his hands together nervously, or perhaps in frustration. His jaw is set, clenched. He's just staring ahead. If you approach him in any way, even if you're just walking from the desk to a seat, he will give you a nod in respect. But other than that, it doesn't look like he's declining or offering any kind of conversation unless you actively start one.
And does he have Lieutenant's pips?
Yep, same as True Sight's junior grade.
Okay. Osprey knows that senior officers just coming along and talking uninvitedly at junior officers, whilst perfectly impermissible, is a good way to terrify them or make them relatively uncomfortable. So he'll wait for a few moments, but after a convenient or diplomatic amount of time has passed, he will say, I'm assuming it's the afternoon, "Good afternoon, Lieutenant. Have you been here long?"
He looks over, straightens up a bit, and says, "An hour and a half, Captain," and then goes back to looking stoically in the distance.
Okay. Charles gives a sort of a nod. The person's staring stoically into the mid-distance. He doesn't particularly want to engage in conversation. And Charles knows that people can have a lot of very serious, very stressful business in this building. And so he will. Would Charles know or have been given in advance of this date his crew manifest?
Osprey is allowed to choose basically his own senior staff, with the possible exception of Security Chief, which has been pre-selected by Starfleet Security and Vice Commander Otreda, but with his blessing, and he has already done the background check and everything like that. As for the rest of the crew, not really. They're being kind of transferred as a normal military would transfer people. Like, oh, it's your turn to serve on this kind of ship, or it's you've been on a starbase too long, we need to get you to the first ship, or stuff like that. So it's not a whole lot of like cream of the crop officers and Starfleet personnel. It's more like just generic individuals, and it's just their time to be on this ship. You would know that there is a squad of Marines, as well as a group of cadets that will also be serving.
Okay. The reason why I ask is that my plan was for him to ask the person's name, and if he knows his crew manifest, even if, because as a lieutenant he might not be a senior officer, but he'll know the names of his officers, so he'll go, yes, you're assigned to my ship, and have a brief conversation. And then if it's a case of, you're not assigned to my ship, he would just let this man sit in silence. But if
you wouldn't. I mean, even just 350 people, it's highly unlikely he would remember everybody's name. So
that's true.
I mean, that's just me. I mean, my memory's shit, but I will say that as of right now, there are no Chryssari crew members on the Legion.
Okay. Well, in that case, he's no. Well, in that case, unless the person's mood visibly starts to deteriorate, like he starts to get more frustrated or more anxious, his foot starts tapping, something like that, this man's clearly got a lot on his mind. Captain Osprey is perfectly happy to leave him to his thoughts.
All right. Lieutenant Zhukov, played by Nostra, if you would read your security chief's log, please. If your mic is working.
Security Chief's log. Stardate 78620.8. For the last 6 weeks, I've been attending a class on espionage tactics at the Starfleet Security Headquarters in San Francisco, Earth. However, upon the completion of my training, I have been ordered to report to Admiral Lane's office, the Chief of Starfleet Security. I cannot help but wonder if it is related to the recent infiltration talents I have developed.
Lieutenant Zhukov, you have arrived at Starfleet Security Headquarters to see Admiral Lane. Let me go ahead and move you guys there on roll 20. Actually, I'll just move you here for the moment. So I guess my question is kind of similar to the captain's, Captain Osprey's. Zhukov has been given a time to be there, so how early, because I imagine he's not going to show up late, but how prompt is Lieutenant Zhukov?
Approximately 30 minutes earlier.
Okay, he's definitely going to do some waiting then. So yeah, you arrive at Starfleet Security Headquarters, similar, so the lobby in Starfleet Security Headquarters is nowhere near as large as the lobby for fleet operations, because it's the security headquarters. However, you do end up waiting, and I'm going to take you to... Actually, you know what? Let me first... So as you're waiting... Where is it? NPCs, there it is. A man walks out of Admiral Lane's office, and he has a tricorder in hand. He's half of his head looks shaved, or bald, I should say. The other half it looks like a normal hair, and he is giving you. You first of all, you can see he's a junior lieutenant, a junior grade lieutenant, and he's giving you. He's like eyeing you suspiciously, and he starts scanning you, and he says, "Sorry for the intrusion, sir, but before we let you into the head of Starfleet security, we want to make sure you, well, we want to make sure you are who you say you are, and that you're not bringing any kind of unsanctioned devices into the office, like listening devices, things like that. I'm sure you understand." And he begins to scan you. How does Zukov react to that?
Practically, it's mostly by means of protocol, correct? So ultimately, you'll just follow protocol as needed.
So this specific act is not actually protocol.
However,
So, okay.
if it is not protocol, then a slight eye of suspicion could be detected from him. And ask the junior lieutenant one question. Is the admiral have you been ordered by the admiral to do this, junior lieutenant?
Yes, Lieutenant Zukov. Like I said, the admiral is very cautious with the infamous allegiance and the Romulan Republic. He does air quotes as after he puts his tricorder back in his pocket. He says, "Are not exactly our best friends right now, and we just want to make sure that their sympathizers are kept at bay."
See.
And almost immediately after he says that, he turns on his heel and heads into Admiral Lane's office, basically not really giving you the time of day. I will, however, give you the opportunity to, because as he enters the office, you can hear Admiral Lane is shouting, he's yelling, and I would like you to roll Insight and Security difficulty 2 to see if you can hear any of what the Admiral is yelling about. You don't have to roll that if you don't care what he's yelling about, but
Rolling.
alright. So you don't the only thing you know is that he is, whoever he's yelling at, he's actually being very restrained. He's trying to keep his voice lowered, but you can't hear any names as of yet. And is there anything that Lieutenant Zukov does in reception? There is nobody there but Lieutenant Zukov, or does he just wait?
Ultimately, if there's nothing to truly do, then it would be for the best to wait.
Alright. We're going to jump to Utopia Planitia. Do I even have that map? Probably not. Oh yeah, because I was going to do Earth Space Dot, that's why. Let's see. We'll do Legion Bridge. Lieutenant Carr, you are leading an engineering team in the final stages of restoration and for the relaunch of the USS Legion at Utopia Planitia, Mars. You are well aware that the ship at this point, at this stage of the restoration, is pretty much completed. All that is required now is for its inspection from Chief Engineer of Utopia Planitia, Commander Keon Delgado, and he will be arriving in about 15 minutes. You have been working with, for the last several days, some people. Let's see where. One of those individuals is an engineer named Now, these two engineers have been assigned as assistant engineers for you. You will be able to choose which one you want to be the primary and which one you want to be the secondary. Lieutenant Ustam is an Orion male, and I think you're able to look at his bio there. And Lieutenant Coach is a human woman, so also you can look at her bio there. And basically, I guess my question is, what do you do? What is Lieutenant Carr doing in preparation for this upcoming inspection?
Lieutenant Carr is making sure all the dust is wiped off and the loose wires are plugged back in, just that it's got the appearance of a new starship.
All right. What do you want specifically for each of these? They each have their own engineering teams. Basically, what assignments do you want Ustam's team to do, and what assignments do you want Coach's team to do? Or is it Coke? I guess it would be Coke. I don't know.
I knew someone who had it spelled like that, and it was Cook. Anyway.
Oh, wow. So many different ways to say it. I've heard it like 4 different ways.
As far as Carr is concerned, why would they be doing anything different from what they've already been doing? So, that's kind of where he's coming from.
So there's nothing specific, just keep doing what you're doing and until the time is up, basically.
And if you're not done, then we're not going to pass inspection. So if you guys are still, why are we having this discussion if we're not all caught up before inspection?
All right. I'm gonna, in that case, roll for them to see how well they do in their assignments. Let's see. For Ustam, it's going to be, I'm going to say reason and engineering. One success. And for Coke or Coach or Koch or Cook, it will be, we'll go with control and engineering. So Coke or Cock or Coach or however you want to say it, I should just change the name, to be honest with you. Or actually, I know what I'll do. I'll just change it to Cook because that makes sense. Cook, we'll even keep the K. Oh no, that looks like Kook. Cook is basically running her team around like a crazy person, getting all. Basically, Cook is the one who's in charge of like the actual engineering like room, like actually main engineering, and so she has basically got the warp core and all the fusion reactors and all the EPS conduits there pretty much perfectly synced up. However, Mr. Ustam is struggling on the bridge to get his team to finish repairing the EPS conduits running along the backsides of the consoles, and he's getting frustrated. And we'll say that's when your character walks onto the bridge and sees him kind of shouting at one of the ensigns, "No, the blue isolinear chip goes over there. I've told you that 3 times already." And I'll let you decide how you want to handle that.
Everything okay, Ustam?
He sighs when he sees you. Yes, Lieutenant. Yes, Chief. Sorry, we've got less than 15 minutes, and I can't seem to get my staff to understand that isolinear chips can only work in sync with the bioneural gel packs if the EPS conduits are tuned effectively and correctly.
At the mention of isolinear chips, Carr will just kind of nod knowingly. Yeah, those can be more trouble than they're worth sometimes. Do you need an extra hand?
He looks over to you and sighs reluctantly and nods and says, "We've got the operations console working. I'm trying to get the security console working, but the helm station is still needing some work, if you wouldn't mind, sir."
Not at all. Many hands make light work, after all.
Alright, so you guys begin working, and now I'm
Carr
going
will
to...
make his way over to the helm.
Alright, let's do a control and engineering difficulty 1. I'm going to say the ship is in well enough condition that the ship can assist. Who would like to roll for the ship? Nostra is keeping track of momentum. Who would like to roll for the ship? I remember we had a discussion about this a while ago, but I've already forgotten who decided they were going to do it, so I'll let someone else.
Unless anybody jumps in and goes, me, I'll do it.
Alright, so there's a folder called Ships under NPCs. It's the first one, and it will be, I'm going to say, since it's the console, it'll be con and computers. And just roll 1, obviously, and focuses should be on for the ship.
Okay. I'm just having a look to see where the foci are, to see if there are any applicable ones.
Well, there shouldn't. The ships don't have focuses. They just always.
It's just foci. Yes.
Yeah.
I see. All right. Thank you. The ship does not help you.
Okie dokie.
Okay, I can handle it.
Oh yeah. And the difficulty was 1, so you guys are up to 2 momentum, Nostra, or up 2 momentum to whatever it was before. Okay. The ship or the consoles begin to light up, and Ustam just sighs with relief. Oh, that's a relief. Thank you, Lieutenant.
No problem, Lieutenant.
We're gonna go to Earth space dock now. Tali, your character has just arrived to Earth space dock, and your character, and I'm saying your character because I've already forgotten their name, but your character is assigned to the... What was it?
It was Enon. The male.
I'm gonna have to look for it because unless I see it, it's not gonna make any sense to me. Hopefully, it's not this one with all the numbers. Because I see a Grax.
Not Grax, the other one. Here, let me see.
Yeah, I think I have to go and download it again. I probably accidentally downloaded it to my phone or something.
Okay, it's Enon. It's Enon Neelan.
Neelan. Okay, Neelan. All right, I've got it downloaded. Oh, I've downloaded like 3 times. It just went to a different folder. Great. Alright, let's see. STA. Alright. So, yeah, your character, or Neelan, has been assigned to the USS Legion, which will be arriving in a matter of hours. You have just arrived on Earth space dock on a Starfleet personnel transport, which is since after depositing all the Starfleet officers, then went off to do other things. So basically, assume that Earth space dock is basically like a giant city. You can pretty much do whatever you can think of. It's available within reason. What would you like to do on Earth space dock?
I would like to go to the science area and try to mess with my tricorder.
When you say mess with, how do you mean?
So what I want to do is I want to see if it's working properly. I might have dropped it on the way out of space dock or something, so maybe I need to take a look at it.
All right. So you go to the science lab. There's a few science officers there that can assist you, which I will roll for them. If you want to roll reason and science, the difficulty is going to be, I'll say, difficulty 0. I think they've got enough technology there they could pretty much figure out anything if anything's wrong with the tricorder. And you do have one assist from one of the science officers that is there.
Awesome. I rolled a 1 and a 6.
A 1 and a 6, so that's 3 successes, I believe. So that's a total of 4 successes. So the difficulty was 0. So you have 4 momentum plus 4 momentum. You are up to 8, which is the max. Awesome. And yeah, the Bolian hands you back your tricorder. He says, "Looks like it's working perfectly fine, sir." Or what your rank is, Lieutenant, right?
Lieutenant, yes.
Okay. Yeah, he's an ensign, so he says, "Looks like it's working fine, sir."
Thank you. I check my tricorder, just one glance over and just see if it's working just fine. Kind of messed up when I walked out of the space dock and it dropped. So
yeah, those for some unknown reason, a lot of the doorways around the airlocks around space stations have a raised ledge on the floor. I don't understand what that is. Sometimes people trip on it, drop their things. It makes no sense. Maybe the Cardassians built this station. He kind of chuckles.
True. And then I walk on to where I'm supposed to be going, where my orders are.
Okay, so basically, as long like you haven't, because it's only a few hours away, you haven't been given like temporary quarters or anything. You're basically told you and a few other. Actually, I will get those others, a few other individuals who will be joining you on the Legion. One of them is, let's see. We'll say crewman Shamak, and let's see your science. So we'll have comms officer. Come on, Avella, and a Trill security officer named Lieutenant Vess. Basically, they kind of consolidate, or basically kind of in the courtyard. They begin discussing where, or not the courtyard, the promenade, the concourse. That's what it's called. And they begin discussing where they want to go. Avella really wants to go to the club 47. It's called. Crewman, what was his name? Shamak wants to go take a look at operations. And Mr. Vess wants to go look at the armory to see if they've developed any new weapons that may be coming aboard the USS Legion. Is there anywhere that you want to specifically go?
Yeah, as a science officer, I'm always interested in scientific advancements, so I want to go with Navek. I'm overhearing them, or how did that...
Yeah, well, I assume once you left the science lab, they're kind of in the same. They arrived on the same transport, so they're kind of nearish you. So after you come out of the science lab, they're talking, and they see you kind of come over. Shamak, who wants the pilot who wants to go to the operations center. Is that the one you're talking about?
The weapons.
Oh, Vess.
The
okay.
advancement. Vess. That's
just Vess. VESS. But yeah, he's like, yeah. I mean, this is an R&D like dream. Like this place is pretty much, if it's not the Daystrom Institute, it's this space station that's developing stuff. So let's go take a look at that. And I would say Shemek probably lets him go, heads to the operations. But Avella is convinced. The communications officer is convinced, and she goes with you and Mr. Vess. We're going to jump real quick to Jasad. You are at the moment in Commodore Otreda's office. You
Am I though?
you will be as soon as I find your character.
Okay.
You oh come on, it's for some reason not wanting to transfer the frickin'
Oh,
thing.
I can put it if you want.
Yeah, if you don't
Like-
mind. Let me turn the
Oh,
volume down.
Yeah, it's not picking it up. Oh, interesting.
Let's see. That's that.
Let's just say I'm there. It's fine.
Let's see that. Ah, there we go. I
Oh,
had to
there you
take
go.
it out of the images. So, Commodore Otreda says,
Would I know this one?
"No, what one?"
Commodore.
Yeah, I mean, you
Would
probably
I know who
would-
she is?
Yeah, you would know she's a third in command of the fleet. She's in charge of moving people around, transfers, new assignments, stuff like that. You would, but you wouldn't know her. You probably wouldn't know her personally. You probably have met her a couple of times. You would know she's a fan of classical music as well as alien
Nice.
literature. And I still need to turn down the audio. Yeah, it should be better. And yeah, so as soon as you had come in earlier, this was before Mr. Osprey arrived in the reception. She was having an argument over comms with the head of Starfleet security and Commander Starfleet, Admiral Pavel Chekhov, about basically a certain XO that was to be assigned to the Legion. Otreda and Chekhov thought it was perfectly fine, while the chief of Starfleet security was like, no way, we are definitely not having a Cardassian that's from another universe be assigned in our fleet because that's a breach of security. And you kind of came in at the tail end of that conversation. And once that whole conversation simmered down, Otreda looks over, and you will see she hands you a data pad, and she says, and I'll actually hopefully be able to find that. I'll just move it outside of the whatchamacallit.
Right.
There. So it should be under main characters. It says Lasco Z personnel file. She hands you that, and she says, "It looks like your half-brother has returned, although all of our quantum scans indicate that he's not even from this universe. And as you know from earlier, head of Starfleet security is not very keen on allowing him access to our ships and our protocol. What say you? He is your half-brother after all."
I walk a little bit to her and I'll say, Commodore, it's nice to meet you. A very fine choice of music, might I add.
She chuckles.
Anything?
Yeah, well, I know you. I know you like Tchaikovsky.
Have anything to drink, maybe? Before we start discussing this whole thing.
Actually, and I know you don't know me very well, but I like to get right to business, and there is somebody else waiting. She presses a button on her desk and says, "True sight, send them in." We're gonna jump.
There's always somebody else, isn't there?
Jump to Osprey. True Sight looks down. You can kind of hear the buzzing from True Sight's console as somebody has contacted her, but you can't hear what's said. And True Sight looks up to you, Osprey, and says, "Captain, the Commodore will see you now."
Osprey stands up, does the Picard maneuver, tugs his uniform straight, and says, "Thank you, Lieutenant." And walks into the office.
As the door opens, before you can even take a step in, a man in a red uniform and a commander ranks is holding a tricorder, and he begins to scan you. And he says, Sorry, sir. Orders from Starfleet Commander himself.
Well, he knows that. I'm guessing, much like it, the Starfleet security one, that this isn't quite normal procedure. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. Basically,
Yep.
this is something that would have. This is something that most Starfleet Command outposts don't do. The only reason they're doing it here and now is specifically for a specific reason that more than likely your character as well as Zukov would not know about. As the best they would know is it's just an added layer of security protection. That's pretty much the extent of it.
Well, okay, he'll consent to that, but he will ask a question casually, and the answer may be edifying as he's being scanned.
Okay.
And he'll say, "Of course, has there been any?" Sorry, out of character. I'm just taking a pause to think how to phrase that.
Sorry.
Of course, has there been any specific information of a threat?
Not particularly, says the commander. And as he says that, Commodore Tretta stands up and says, Commander Silver, let him pass. Please, come in, Captain Osprey.
Okay. Captain Osprey will walk in. As a side note, did he get any particular sense of like deliberate deception or evasion from the commander? I'm guessing not.
Not particularly.
Okay.
The Commodore Tretta, as you're entering, she says, "Thank you for your patience, Captain. I was on a priority call with Commander Starfleet, and we were discussing your new executive officer." And she too hands you the personnel file, which is available, and you should be able to access it on Roll20.
I can, yep.
Not sure if you guys can read it, but that's not really. It basically just says Lasco was a Starfleet officer, then he disappeared in a certain year, and now he's back. Basically, that's the long and short of it. And she said, Commodore Otretta says, "Tell me," she says this with a kind of smile. She says, "How do you feel about having a stock Sovereign class vessel under your command?"
I am. I don't know if this is important, but as a side note, until he is told to relax or sit down, he is standing smartly. And he will say, "I am pleasantly surprised to have been given captaincy, and I am honoured by the trust and choice, Commodore. The Sovereigns may be getting a little old, but they were fantastic ships when they were built, and there's plenty of good use still to be made of them."
Good, I'm glad you like it. You can tell that she didn't particularly ask you about it because she wanted to know how you liked it. She asked for a whole separate other reason, but she doesn't seem to be wanting to give up that information as of yet. She continues and she says, "This is Captain Jasad Reiner. He is the half-brother of your future XO."
Okay, he's noted that information, but before Osprey, and of course since they're the same rank, Osprey will just turn to his side and say, "A pleasure, Captain," and extend his hand to shake Captain Gassad's. Captain Reiner.
Gassad gives him a long look from like top to bottom, and then gives him his hand. "Pleasure is all mine, Captain."
Okay. And he shakes Captain Reiner's hands, and then turns to the Commodore and says, "I see. Forgive my presumption, Commodore, but I do believe it slightly unusual for family members to be invited to these discussions. Looking through the entry, because I'm assuming like we are both openly holding it in our hands in front of one another. We both know exactly what's going on here. I'm assuming that's true."
Yep.
Given this information, I assume the good captain here has shed some extra light on the situation.
No, I have not. Not yet, anyway.
I see. Have you had the pleasure of meeting this gentleman yet?
Maybe. Maybe not.
And he sort of smiles and kind of like, it's one of those situations. Kind of.
So, from your perspective, you're looking at a Cardassian who is, well, half Cardassian, shall we say, who is very much like cautious of most people. At least that's the vibe that he gives.
Okay. It's completely understandable, particularly given the unusual nature of the situation. And he could ask all sorts of questions of everybody, but he's aware that this is the Commodore's meeting. And so he will turn to the Commodore and say, how may I be of assistance?
Well, I just got off a call with the head of Starfleet Security, and he did not like the idea of this man being your executive officer now. I've already explained that to Jasad. He heard the tail end of that conversation. However, I would like the three of us to make that decision together. While it is more or less a given that he will be assigned as your executive officer, if you feel that he will not be adequate, Captain Osprey, then things can be moved around, shall we say. Again, he did come from another universe, and he is currently going through physical therapy at San Francisco Hospital. He spent a few minutes, almost 30 minutes actually, in deep space, floating around. And so he is being looked after at the moment, but once he will be discharged from the hospital within a few hours, and I want to make sure that there is no setbacks and that there are no issues of having him as your executive officer. The reason Mr. Jasad Reiner is here is because, like the data pad says, or the personnel file says, Mr. Zed has been missing for 10 years now, and for him to suddenly appear, and also as someone from another universe, we think there may be some kind of connection, and so I would like to hear your thoughts, both of you.
So Gasad interjects and says, if at all possible, could I have, say, 30 minutes with him in private once he's recovered?
Yes, that shouldn't be a problem. He's been spending most of his time alone at the hospital because we don't want the media basically turning this into a media storm that is going to end up becoming bigger problem than it is. Trust me, we have problems out there. We don't need to make this a problem as well. But I don't see any problem with you meeting him before he takes his position as XO.
Much appreciated, Commodore. I'm still waiting for that drink, though.
She kind of nods to Silver, and he goes into the replicator, replicates the drink. He replicates. He replicates himself one first. Then he looks over to Reiner, says, "What do you have?"
Tea would be fine, thank you.
He replicates the tea, and he looks over to Osprey. "What about you, sir?"
Coffee, black, please.
All right, so he brings over 3 drinks. Otreda, when he tries to get a drink for her, she just waves her hand dismissively, she sits down. She sits back down and kind of waits for Jasad Reiner and Charles Osprey to give their opinion on the matter.
Well, unless it looks like Reiner is going to talk more, Osprey will continue, but he'll pause for like that half a second to give Reiner the opportunity to speak. And he sort of learned from the past that if you just sit back and let other people talk, you learn a lot. But if Reiner keeps his mouth shut, then Osprey will fill the silence. So I leave that to Z.
Right. Reiner will take a couple of sips. He'll then look at Commander or Captain Osprey. Captain, why don't you come over here for a second? He basically points at where Gasad is sitting.
Osprey sort of looks at the Commodore silently, for a sort of like, is there permission to get up and go? And I'm assuming like a little nod or something along those lines would be given.
Yeah, she just nods and kind of leans back in her chair. Doesn't really like she's half looking at like something on her desk and not really paying attention.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, Osprey will do as invited, and he'll sit a diplomatic distance away, but also not too close. Sort of if Gassad's right there against the armrest, he'll be sort of like in the corner. And he'll look expectantly at Captain Rinner.
So Gassad looks at Reiner and he says, "Tip number 1, Captain. Never take orders from anyone. Not the Commodore, not me, no one. You're the captain of a ship.
Hey, Commodore Tretta says, "Hey now, come on."
Yeah, at the Commodore bit, his eyebrow went up. Like,
you can continue with your work, Commodore. We are discussing personal stuff here." And he goes back to Osprey. Of course, that is all said and done for the time being. So, let's go Zed. What would you like to know?
well, I'd like to know as much as you are able to tell me about the personality, behavior, and shall we say, eccentricities of your brother. I am aware that the man that has emerged may well be a complete stranger. We know little to nothing about the life he has led in this alternate universe. We don't even know yet if he has a brother like you in his universe. And I'm sure you won't be surprised. And he sort of looks at the Captain Rinner and slightly at the Commodore as he says this, that I am sympathetic to the concerns of the security branch. However, being a stranger does not mean guilt. But if I knew more about the behavior of the brother that you know, I might be able to assess early if this man is behaving in a similar fashion.
Well, I mean, you're asking way too much. I suppose what the point behind my question was, what are you going to do with the information I would be giving you? How would you be treating?
Charles gives a sort of nod, and that's a reasonable question, both for a brother and a Starfleet officer to ask. And he'll be open about it, and he'll say, "Well, as I suggested a few moments ago, I am inclined to treat Commander Lasco as a stranger. I am not going to assume that he will have any resemblance to the service record of the Commander Lasco we know, and I am not going to assume anything about his motives, personality, nature. He will have the exact same opportunities as any stranger, and will be subject to the same degree of supervision as any stranger."
Good. I approve. Now, if we are going by my standards, and the way I am, as a half human, half Cardassian, shall we say, of course, I am determined at all costs. I get the job done, no matter what. Expect that from Zed. Now, granted, this is Zed from a different universe, or an alternate universe, which means that there might be some differences there. But I'd say most of my family members are like this. So there's that. I am very pragmatic as well. I do the right thing, even if it has consequences. I am not a Vulcan, of course. I will not go that far. But in terms of pragmatism, I try and practice it wherever I can. And I do enjoy human opera music, which it makes me very happy and satisfied. Okay. Now, as for Zed's own behavior, again, he's coming from a different universe, alternate reality. The Zed that I've known is more or less like me. This Zed could be different, which is why I want to have this 30 minutes private with him, private session with him. I would like to see how he is and whether he would fit within your crew. And of course, I don't know your crew, but from the looks of it, you well, you haven't shown me that you have command yet, since you took orders. But we'll see, I suppose.
Charles will not take that bait.
All right, we're gonna jump real quick. We'll come back to you guys in a
course.
second. Just remember whatever you guys were gonna say, because I want to jump to the hospital that that Lasco is being. So Lasco, you have been here for the last week and a half, basically. Yeah, I think it was like 8 days. So yeah, you've been here about a week. For the most part, your body has been fine. I mean, a little bit of hypothermia, a little bit of I forgot what the word is for when it's hard to breathe. Basically, from just being out in space. But I mean, you've been here a week, so you're pretty much back up to snuff. They're just making sure through physical therapy and everything that your limbs still move right and everything is back to the way it was. Over the last week, you have not seen your father still. What's her rank? Her name, unfortunately, I have now remembered the entire crew's name. So, not the entire crew. The people that are in this episode, because I had to write it 19 times. But her name is Rachel Pasture, and her rank is ensign. And she is a physical therapist. She has been helping you through this whole thing. And basically, and also, there is a Marine kind of standing guard outside your door at all times. This particular Marine is First Lieutenant Joel Armstrong. He is the Marine who is in charge of the Marine unit of the USS Legion. So you will come to know him probably a bit better than most. So let's see. You're only a few hours from being discharged. You just need this final session with physical therapy with Rachel Pasture. What are you doing? What's Lasco Zed doing? How does he feel? Is he ready to get on with life? Does he want to go home back to his normal universe? As like I said before, your character would have been told it has been a week, so your character would have been told that they appeared in another universe in the future. So yeah, just tell us how your character's feeling and what they're doing.
He would be like, did you know my mum stabbed me? And he points to the skull and he goes, yeah, she kind of joined the infamous Armada, and yeah, it was pretty bad.
The way you said that, did you know my mom stabbed me? That was so funny. Sorry, I have a sick sense of humor. Anyway, okay, so he's just basically making conversation with the physical therapist. Basically.
Yeah. He goes, what's your top speed of warp drives here?
She says, we use quantum slipstream now.
Slipstream?
Well, not all of our ships. The stock Sovereign classes, for example, don't. They're the oldest ships that we use. We don't really use Miranda classes anymore. But, I mean, most of the newer ships that are being created now are installed with quantum slipstream. So they're a lot faster.
Oh. We managed to... Did you know? So how's what's the state of the universe right now? Are you still friendly with the Gremlins? Treaties?
She kind of looks around and then she looks back at you, kind of, I wouldn't say she's annoyed, but she is a bit confused as to why you're asking her this. And she says, Sir, Commander, you're going to be assigned as the XO of the Legion. Why are you asking me this? Shouldn't you have been debriefed already?
No. Not on anything.
Let's for the sake of, out of character, Mac, have you read the timeline for this universe or no?
I'm assuming for Lasgo's sake, I'm playing him as like he doesn't know.
Right, no, yeah, I get that, but like it's been a week. They would have
a week, they
basically tried to catch you up, especially if you're going to be the XO of a
Yeah.
ship. So, like,
Yeah.
little questions about details is fine, but like about the overall state of the galaxy, he'd probably know that.
He goes, "Oh, why hasn't my mother visit me? Or my father in this universe?"
I don't know. I don't know who they are. Your next of kin. I was told your next of kin was contacted, but considering you're from another universe, that doesn't really mean a whole lot because they could be a completely different person to what you know. So yeah, I guess we'll just wait until your brother arrives, and of course you would know you don't have a brother in your universe.
I don't have a brother.
She looks at you and like, well, then your meeting is gonna be really awkward.
Okay. So I'm gonna be an XO of a ship.
Yep. While you're talking to her, roll an insight and security check, difficulty 2. And while you're kind of glancing around, she says, "Yes, apparently." And I don't know the politics of this, but certain admirals want you in on that ship. Apparently, I heard, I don't know if this is accurate or not, but I heard that your brother from this universe was going to be in charge of the ship, but then was reassigned elsewhere, so that might have something to do with it. But I don't know. I'm just a physical therapist. All I know is what I've heard and rumors and medical logs. So that's pretty much it.
Please don't say they removed the thing in my eye.
You have something in your eye? She kind of grabs like a little flashlight and tries to look in your eye.
Oh, so it hasn't came up on my scans yet.
Apparently not, because nobody knew about it. I definitely didn't. She kind of calls a doctor over, like one of the civilian San Francisco hospital doctors who walks in, and she says, "Mr. Zed here just said that he has something in his eye, but I don't see anything." And the doctor.
He goes, "You should have picked it up on the scans, doctor."
That's really weird. She grabs like a medical scanner and starts scanning you. Can you describe it for us? It might be something that your universe can detect that ours can't.
Oh, it's basically a little bit of an orb in my eye.
A little bit of an orb? Like a orb of the prophets?
Yes.
Why is that there?
An accident happened and I don't know how it got into my eye, but it's been okay. Like, it hasn't been hurting me or anything like that.
Why haven't you tried to get it out?
Because I would have lost my eye. And besides, it's not doing me any harm.
Still, a foreign object in your eye, regardless of how small it is. I mean, I don't think you'd lose your eye, but it is up to you if you don't want to have it removed.
I don't want it removed.
She kind of taps her scanner, her medical scanner. It's like, yeah, it's not detecting anything. It must be on a whole other, maybe a whole other subspace layer or out of phase with our universe slightly or something. Because I don't detect anything.
Weird.
Yes, Commander. Very. Is there anything you want to do before we jump to Lieutenant Zukov?
He goes, about this stab wound, is it fully healed right here? He points to his stab wound that his mom stabbed him.
We'll say you that it's definitely healed over the last few weeks. But now, when Dr. Tall healed you, did you have a scar?
Yes.
Okay, so you still have the scar then. They're not going to try to get rid of the scar, but you are healed, more or less, basically.
Okay, cool. So I'm off desk duty?
Yeah, that's why you're going to be an XO, apparently, says the ensign.
Oh, okay, cool.
Alright. Anything else?
No, he'll be waiting for whoever's gonna come and pick him up.
Okay. Back at the security headquarters, speaking of which, let me go ahead and transfer people there. Zukov, you enter Admiral Lane's office. Mr. Mac, the office, the guy with the half haircut stands out to the side, and another man in a gold uniform. This one is a full commander. Kind of steps up to you. If I can find him, there it is. And kind of steps within like a few inches of your face, like getting in your personal bubble, and he kind of gives you like a snarky smirk, and he says, "Your patience and discretion is much appreciated, Lieutenant." And he gestures for you to take a seat. And in the Admiral's chair, Admiral Lane is kind of huffing, kind of grunting in displeasure and frustration, and he slams his fist on his desk and sighs as you approach, and he says, "Zukov, I did have a special mission for you to complete prior to your transfer, but Commander Starfleet has other plans. So I guess this will have to be off the books." And again, sorry, go ahead.
The request of the kind of circumstances that has transpired, Admiral.
Sorry, can you say that with slightly less of an accent?
Sorry, I forgot it. You know what? Just continue.
No, go ahead. I want to hear what it was.
Requesting permission. Yeah, my brain just farted. Yep, it's dead.
It's fine. It's all right. Do you take a seat?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's actually if the Admiral specifically states that I take a seat.
Yeah,
I will be. Yep. Sorry. Go on.
No, I was just gonna say the commander told you to take a seat, and then the Admiral gestures basically at the chair, waiting for you to sit down before you.
All right, then I'll take the seat. I'll take the seat then.
Okay. The commander hands you a datapad, the same datapad that the other two officers were given, Vlasco Z, which is under the main characters folder, and he says, Admiral Lane says, "Starfleet Security would appreciate your diligence in this matter, and we're not asking for you to do anything illegal. We just like you to keep an eye out on this gentleman here, who's apparently going to be the new first officer of the Legion. Again, we just want you to keep an eye on him unofficially. No reports need to be made. Are you able to do this for us? You will be assigned as Chief of Security on the Legion."
Yes, Admiral.
Good. You may come into some sort of confrontation with the rest of your senior staff. I don't ask you to do anything that you wouldn't normally do, but if it does appear that certain individuals their judgment is compromised due to having this outsider among us, then I want you to do what's necessary. Do you understand?
I understand, Admiral.
Good. The first thing you want to do is take a visit to the hospital. He'll be discharged in just a few hours, so I would like you to loiter in the lobby. Technically, the hospital is considered a sanctuary, and we're not actually allowed to interrogate anybody, but asking a few questions in the lobby as he's exiting and as he's being discharged is no crime, so if you wouldn't mind doing that for us, we'd greatly appreciate it.
I will, Admiral.
Good. He looks over to Moss, or to the commander that you didn't get the name of, and the commander just nods, and Admiral Lane looks back to Zukov and says, "One more thing. If you have any questions or concerns, now's the time to bring them up. Once you get on that ship, you won't be able to contact us again until absolutely necessary, so now's your chance."
Boys, my brain is completely static.
That's okay. That's what momentum's for later if you need it. If you think of a question, just ask and spend a momentum, and I'll give it to you. All right. So Admiral nods and says, "Dismissed, Lieutenant."
And Zhukov gets off from his seat, making a bound face, and yeah, on his way to straight to the hospital.
All right. Gonna jump back to the Legion Bridge. The inspectors have arrived. As soon as I find, there it is. Let's see. Keon Delgado and his two aides, Lieutenant Yuritsa Hines and Lieutenant Harlan McMahon. And they arrive on shuttle. So the first place they look, obviously, is going to be the shuttle bay. But eventually they by the way, Delgado would like Carr to escort them like around the ship. Doesn't need your assistance, your assistant chief engineers. He just wants you. And so he has you basically walk with him throughout the ship as he's inspecting everything. And McMahon is even doing the whole like rubbing his finger along the wall to see if he can collect any dust type of thing. Of course he doesn't, but yeah, so as you're escorting him towards the bridge, I mean, this is a long tour. I mean, you guys aren't just walking, you're stopping every few minutes to check on EPS conduits and consoles and bulkheads and all kinds of things. But as you are heading towards the bridge, you pass a let's go real quick to the corridor. You pass a main engineering as s5e0.4 Sterk Aredo. You're a Bajoran engineer that works for you. It exits with another individual, another engineer, another crewman, rank of crewman. And you overhear him say, "Thank the Prophet, Starfleet Command changed their mind about giving us a Cardassian captain. It's bad enough having a Cardi XO." Oh, mic problems. Well, hopefully you heard all that at least. If you can't get your mic up and running, you can just type what your reaction would be if there is one, or if you're just continuing to escort Mr. Delgado through the corridors towards the bridge. By the way, everyone, in a few moments, not sure when exactly, because family, but I might have to jump off here for 10 minutes, depending on what time it is. If it's like 7:30 or 7:45 or something, I'll probably just end it tonight, and then we'll pick it up or we'll pick it up whenever the next game is, which I believe is the 30th. But
Hey, Crable, jump out and jump back in. See if that works.
yeah, that works intermittently. Sometimes it works, sometimes it
Yeah.
works, sometimes it doesn't.
That's why I thought to double check if you
Question.
can do.
Yeah, go ahead, Nostra.
Am I able to go AFK because I need to have dinner right now?
Yeah, we're probably done with you for at least a little while, depending on
All right.
Yeah.
And
Hopefully
it
I'll be
would
back
work
by then.
if you're off, mic's off
Is that
mute.
better? Oh, I'm seeing
Yes.
your mic. That's gotta be better.
Yes.
I hear you.
Okay. All right. So we were talking about Cardassian XO. So Lieutenant Carr, being younger, does not remember much of the Cardassian occupation, and also did not grow up on Bajor, but one of the colonies. So not quite the same issues as Arito apparently has. But he's not necessarily going to say anything. Did Arito see him, or did Carr just overhear?
Carr just overheard. It looked like he emerged from engineering as you guys passed, so basically he went the other way and didn't even see you.
What's that you say about a Cardassian XO and a different captain?
Sterk comes to a halt. The crewman stops, but also makes sure to distance himself from Sterk, like go pretend to be fixing a bulkhead. And Sterk turns towards Lieutenant Carr and say, "Oh, Lieutenant, sorry, I didn't catch that." He kind of obviously lying.
You know something more about the crew manifest? Have they updated it?
Well, as of earlier this morning, they did assign a new XO and a new captain, but that's none of my concern, sir. That's and as he's like struggling to answer, Mr. Delgado steps in and says, "Lieutenant, this is no time to discuss the crew manifest with your subordinates. We have an inspection to complete. I expect to be at my wife's dinner within the hour, so can we please move along?"
Aye. Lead the way, Commander.
What is Lieutenant Carr's overall demeanor towards Chief Sterk?
He's pretty easygoing about most of this. As far as he knows, his team got their work done, and they've dusted. So it's just kind of
Okay, so he's not he doesn't particularly care about the insult of having a Cardi XO. He more cares that they're doing their job, and he was curious as to if he knew who the CO and the XO was.
Yeah. And again, Carr being a lot younger is just I don't know. For him, he's a bit more distanced from that. So maybe his parents would be more upset about it, but I mean, he's been on several vessels at this point, and it's been enough of an adjustment just to work alongside non-Bajorans for the most part.
Right. Okay. So yeah, he as Carr turns and continues the inspection, they come to the turbo lift, which will eventually take you guys to deck 1. And inside the turbo lift, Lieutenant Hines looks over a console, a wall panel basically, and says, "This configuration is not standard." She looks over the Lieutenant Carr and says, Do you allow your engineers to reconfigure console layouts?"
Well, for a ship this old, sometimes you just gotta make do.
She nods, narrowing her eyes slightly, but Commander Delgado nods in agreement and says, absolutely, Lieutenant, we're not here to, and he's talking to Hines when he says this, he says, we're not here to nitpick over every little thing. We just want to make sure this thing will actually leave the dock. Once it does, it's not our problem anymore. And the turbolift begins to head towards deck 1. Turbolift doors open, and you guys enter the bridge. And Mr. Delgado glances around, nodding approvingly, and then looks over to... He taps at a few consoles, then he looks over to Lieutenant Carr, and he says, have you been a chief engineer before? Of a starship?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Because I don't feel like holding anybody's hand today. I think everything looks good. I'm going to head out, and we're going to go ahead and pencil whip this as if it went through its complete inspection, and you're good to go. You'll be... And as he's about to say something, another officer enters. And let's see. And he says, your acting CO will be Commander Logan Dawson. And then the doors go, and turbolift doors open. He enters. He says, speak of the devil, Mr. Dawson. And they go and they shake each other's hands. And Commander Dawson nods to you and says, don't worry, Lieutenant, I'm not here to steal your thunder. I'm just going to be in charge until we get this thing to Earth space dock, all of 2 hours away. And then after that, I'm off and going back to my normal job.
Very good.
Alright. We're going to jump. I see Josh is watching, but he hasn't joined the voice chat. I don't know if he plans to or not, but... we are almost actually done, which would be cool if we could get all the way done without me having to go handle family business. We're going to jump back to the captain's room. Back to the Commodore's office, I should say. Now, you guys were having a nice conversation over some tea. Go ahead and finish that conversation.
Well, I mean, it's mostly we're still waiting for that 30 minutes. I'm still waiting for that 30-minute private session with Zed, but otherwise.
Okay, so do you guys want to just leave the Commodore's office and head to the hospital now?
Especially since you need to wrap up. There's 2 very small things. The first is, tell me, Captain, is there anything you would want to add to the record that's not in the official reports regarding the circumstances of your brother's disappearance or any events that might have led up to it?
No.
Okay.
He sort of smiles in front of Osprey.
Okay, alright, he notes that.
Why are you playing coy? Why are you playing coy?
Oh my god, that's it, what do you mean?
You and I both know he doesn't know shit.
And also playing coy to Charles is an interesting move. But Charles notes that, and he would then turn to the Commodore and say, "Well, as noted in my previous conversation, I am sympathetic to the concerns of Starfleet security, and more normally, I would expect the new." Commander Lasco to essentially reapply as though they were a fresh cadet, go to the academy, work their way up. I would not automatically trust credentials from another universe. But I understand that exceptional circumstances have applied. I ask only that I have unusual discretion in terms of actions that may need to be taken should I become concerned about the suitability of the commander.
Otreda is just going to raise an eyebrow at that.
Okay. I'm guessing that's a. Would you like to justify that statement, Captain Eyebrow?
It's on a Otreda or Z or Jasad Reiner. Which one are you talking to?
This is because the Commodore raised an eyebrow, I think. So I'm guessing this is a. Would you like to explain why you want these unusual discretionary powers, Captain? Look from the Commodore.
Well, she was just doing that because she wanted to see how Jasad Reiner would react to that.
Right.
Gasad just looks at both of them with like a small smile and he shrugs.
You say he shrugs?
Yep.
Okay, so he doesn't care.
He looks back again and he says, let's count how many minutes this conversation will be awkward, shall we?
Okay. Well, does he say that or does he think that?
Oh, he does say that. Yeah,
okay, well, sure. Commodore Otreda stands up and he says, "Go to the hospital, talk to Jasad." She looks, or talk to Lasco, Zed, and then she looks to Jasad Reiner and she says, "You can have 30 minutes before Captain Osprey even meets him to talk to him."
Of course, thank you.
Dismissed. And she gives you like a wave.
Thank you. Thank you, Commodore. Before she does the wave, because there's one tiny thing you mentioned in her description, and I thought, I have to jump on this, which is you mentioned that she had sort of alien books behind her.
Yep, I definitely didn't put that there on purpose for your character.
Well, as you will have noted, he has the Xeno comparative literature.
What? No.
Guy. I know, it's strange. And so he will take a pause now that the official business of the meeting has concluded, and say, "Thank you, Commodore. If I may make one small observation, slightly off of the core business of the meeting." And he then gestures to the books behind her and says, so long as she doesn't immediately say, "No, get out," I think you may... looking at the nature of your collection, I think you may benefit from obtaining a copy of Adrasan's Musings on the Third Sons and Corinthians' comments on that same book. It would pair very nicely with your collection of Tengrantian literature. It really is an excellent comparison, and I'd be happy to send you some recommendations if you thought that would be of where to get good copies, if you think that would aid your collection.
She looks at you with a grin and nods. Oops. She looks at you with a grin and nods slightly, and you know what's funny? I actually had a list of all the books she has. Can't find it anywhere. Wow. Yeah, when I go in, I go in. Go all out. That would have been cool to just list off alien books. But anyway, what she does is she actually picks up like Sterk's teachings, like like an original, like not even a copy. Like it's literally, you could see the leather-bound dust coming off of it as it's an original, and she just like hands it to you.
Impressive.
And says, "Make good use of that. Now get out of my office."
Tucks it under an arm. "Thank you, Commodore." And then, yes, leaves the office.
All right. So real quick, hey Josh, I'm gonna do a flashback for you because I'm not, because
it's okay, man. We can pick it up next game. I'll just listen if that's cool. I'm just.
Are you sure?
I'm still trying to.
Are you sure?
Oh, okay.
I was just gonna have you show up on the Earth space dock since it's you're being assigned to the Legion.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
So your transport is arriving now, actually, as Neelan's character, the science officer, is looking at new weapons that have basically been either developed or shipped to Earth space dock for testing. So the security chief of Earth space dock basically is like, yeah, you can look, you can't touch, obviously. There are a few weapons and devices that look alien, like even more alien than like a Romulan or Klingon or Dominion weapon. Something that like you would need like 4 arms to carry. That kind of alien. Probably they didn't develop it. They probably confiscated it from somewhere. And Josh, as your transport kind of deposits the cadets onto Earth space dock, let's go ahead and get your tokens. I'm gonna have 2 cadets with you because, well, actually, I'm gonna have a crewman Rill. She is a Ferengi, and we'll explain the importance of that at a later date when we have more time. And a couple of cadets. We'll say Jorn Azid. I believe he's Trill. And we'll say Cadet Billy Baxter, human. So yeah, you basically are off, and Billy Baxter is kind of excited. He says the science lab on this starbase is second to none. I say we go look at that. We still have like 4 hours until the ship arrives. Mr. Joran Azid is saying, no, I would like to go look at the R&D of weapons development armory. Crewman Rill, the other Ferengi, is kind of siding with him on that because they might be expensive and they could maybe sell something. But that she doesn't. She only alludes to that. She doesn't actually say that outright. Which one of those would Mr. Merck like to investigate first? He could obviously go anywhere alone if he wanted to, but his fellow cadets and crewmen want to go to one of these 2 places.
I suppose he'd be more interested in the weapons than the science lab.
Oh yeah, he's security, isn't he? I forgot.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to think he's engineering, just like your other Merc. All right.
Well, I thought I filled this sheet out, and that's another problem. That's what I was just noticing. I just got home. This sheet's
right.
not. I thought I had it filled out, but I guess I did not.
We have so many. This is like my 8th Roll20 account. We have so many that it's hard to keep up, so it's fine. Yeah,
okay.
It's no big deal as long as it's done by next time. Let me make this announcement because I think a couple of players showed up after I made the announcement. But due to Rob not being able to make it today, as well as a couple other Tuesdays, we are going to be shifting the schedule a bit. So check the calendar. So basically, there will be 2 weeks where we don't have a game on both the Academy game and this game. And then they'll line up again. Just make sure you check the calendar for that. But yeah, we'll get to the other stuff after. So you guys all head to the R&D of the weapons development site. Neelan, as you guys are kind of observing, and only observing because the security chief of the starbase won't let you do anything else, a raucous Ferengi in a cadet's uniform, as well as a crewman, a Ferengi crewman, a Trill, and a human cadet enter. The Trill cadet and the human cadet are very loud. Like, they come in, they're very boisterous, pointing at weapons, very intrigued, very excited. The crewman Rill, the Ferengi female, is kind of more reserved, but she still expresses interest. How does Merc enter? Is he boisterous and loud like his cadet colleagues, or is he more reserved like his Ferengi comrade?
Oh no, he's not boisterous loud. Matter of fact, he's a little perturbed by it. He needs to show some respect.
Okay. So yeah,
Neelan kind of looks over, squints.
Neelan, you see all of this. How does Neelan react? Did Neelan leave? I guess... no, he's there. He's muted, though. I don't know if he knows he's muted or if there's something wrong with the headset or...
I don't know.
Me?
Yep, you're playing Neelan, right?
Yes.
So how
That's
does...
the last name.
Yeah. How does Neelan react to these 2 boisterous cadets and the Ferengi that come in.
How many of them are female?
Just one, the Ferengi.
Okay, so basically my character is afraid of females. So, like, I'm gonna back myself away, far away from the female, but acknowledge everybody else.
Alright. How does... actually, Josh, do you have access to, like, real dice? Or an app? Hold on.
Oh no, I'm on Roll20 now. I mean, no, I can roll, or if you want me to really roll real dice, I can.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I said I'm on Roll20, or I can go get real dice if you want me to get them.
It's alright. I've got family stuff, family being family, so I've got to jump off here 15 minutes early. So we'll just stop here and we'll pick up right where we left off in 2 weeks. If anyone has any problem with the schedule, just let me know. If you can't make it. Z, I know you weren't planning on coming back, so if you just want to have that conversation with Lasco off screen,
Yeah.
that's fine.
That's probably gonna be like the only thing, and sometimes maybe on like a guest session or something like that. I don't mind. So.
Okay, yeah, we could do like a
Things like
flashback at some point in the future or something.
Yep.
Alright, we'll probably won't do Reputation. Well, we definitely won't do Reputation or anything this episode because we didn't go anywhere or do much. But after next episode, we definitely will. Thank you guys for coming.